Hello, welcome to the Steve Calis Show. I'm Steve Calis, and I'm supposed to be joined by Kevin Harris, but I don't know where the hell he is. He's supposed to be joining us at some point. Now, a lot of my listeners know that alongside the podcast, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Always have been. I'm in my early 30s now, so I've been enjoying and loving Pokemon since the very first game came out, and it's been a magical adventure. Now, in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I've got really into Pokemon VGC. And it's one of my big regrets that I'm really crap at it. I've never been able to get any good. But I've always sort of looked up to people who are excellent and who excel at VGC. So to tell us more about VGC is the 2022 Pokemon VGC World Champion, Eduardo Cunha. How you doing, mate?
Hello, thank you for having me. Doing great. It's an honor to be here. A pleasure. And it's just would like to tell you more as everything you want to know.
I want to, yeah. But I mean, you might regret saying that because I've got about 600 questions for you, so we'll try and filter them down. So let's cast your mind back just that little while to the finals, and let's go to the night before the final match. How are you feeling and what are you thinking? You had no idea that you were about to become the champion. You knew that you were in a tough match. So how were you preparing yourself both within the game and mentally? What was going through your head?
So honestly, something that I do have to point out is that my roommates at the event, so some of my closest friends in life, were supporting me a lot and helping me beyond the Pokemon part. There's a lot of stress going into playing in the big stage, but more so, the influence that we have in the community, more so than the result of the match. Because, making finals of the World Championships is already such an honor and feels so great that no matter what happens, we're already going to be so proud of our accomplishment. So we don't really, I don't, at least for me, every time I've been on, the semifinals and beyond of Worlds, it's always been about, focusing on the game. I don't really worry as much about winning as I worry about perhaps giving a good image of myself and of, what the community is receiving.
But you're an ambassador of the VGC scene, I suppose, then, aren't you? It's the biggest possible stage for it. So you're representing VGC in that sport. So yeah,
exactly. It's a lot of pressure in that sense. And it's not easy to deal with, especially when, I've been around for so long and there's, been ups and downs on the community, and seeing that a lot of the people that might dislike some of my past behaviors were, giving me a lot of pressure. And it was really important for me to be able to vent and talk about it with some of my closest friends, and for them to be there to support me, tell me what I had to focus on, clearing any of my demons, anything that was telling me, everyone's going to be rooting against you and you're a terrible person. And there's this there to tell me, what, your past is in the past. You've got to, you're a much better person now. You're just playing Pokemon. You got to do your best, and just look at all the support you've been getting, regardless. And that was huge for me. Like being there, it wasn't just this. It was like we spent hours talking about life in general, and honestly, I think that was way more important than any actual preparation regarding the actual game, because it just helped me so much mentally to be ready for the finals. And I also feel better about it. Even if I lost, I was in a much better place. And yeah, it's just I don't know. I think that was really key. I ended up not really thinking too much. Like I didn't actually prepare the matchup in the day, but the day prior, I only prepared it. Like I only played a few games on the very day of the game in the morning. I did theory a few sequences of the matchup, and we thought about what to lead, what to prepare. But we didn't actually play. We were more concerned with the mental aspect, and that's something that should not be underestimated. The power of our mentality, of our state of mind is huge. And I think something that definitely helped me a lot in this World Championship was that I was there to compete and not much else. I was there to compete and have fun with my friends. I wasn't there to worry. I think I did a good job at alienating myself from any thoughts related to the community and just focusing on my own thing. And I was able to do that because, I made like a lot of progress towards focusing more in improving other aspects of myself that aren't Pokemon, that aren't the competition, and being able to just focus on Pokemon that is just one part of my life and not everything that I'm putting myself into was absolutely key. And once again, like mentality is huge. I keep telling my students in coaching and my friends that it's more important to have a team you're comfortable with, but with a good mentality, than go with the best team in the format that is the counter team to all the new stuff everyone is using, but go in with a terrible mentality. And yeah, I think that was the key for sure, and that was my plan for the day prior, working on exactly that.
Now, the interesting dynamic here is that my friend Kevin, wherever he is on this screen, Kevin's joining. Kevin's my co-host on this. Hello, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, mate.
Good, right.
Hello, Eduardo.
Oh, yeah. Eduardo, Kevin, Eduardo. Sorry, terrible host. So Kevin has no prior Pokemon background, right? He really only found out about VGC today. And Eduardo, the most heartbreaking thing about it is he knows I always thought I was his only Pokemon friend, right? But it turns out he's got a different Pokemon friend that he asked for advice about VGC. So Kevin and I will be having a very serious conversation about that later on after this interview is done. But Kevin's interested in the esports aspect. Is that right?
Yeah, I follow the Call of Duty esports stuff and Gears of War, that sort of thing, because those are the Halo. Those are the games I used to play. Well, still do play Call of Duty, and that interests me. And then we watched some of myself and the other person that he's talking about that I work with. It's not just a friend. I work with him all day. We watched a bit today at lunchtime, and as soon as I put it on, he was like, right, okay, and he explained the basics of me, basics of it to me. But my interest is obviously we saw, I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019, the $1 million World Championships for Fortnite. You're now seeing huge tournaments for Warzone, which did well out of COVID because obviously nobody went anywhere, so they sat at home playing in tournaments, and the game was huge online. How did COVID affect you guys? What has it done for the esports? Has it picked back up now, or did it continue through?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Yeah, it was rough, especially because since it's a game about information, BGC is very much about information and about making well thought out decisions in the time that we have available to us. Everything can change if we have someone helping us. It's not like first person shooters where like having outside help, it doesn't really change too much. Having outside help can change everything. In fact, it could even not be the one playing and control the entire match just by talking about it. So playing online has that huge risk where we never know if our opponent is being helped or not. And although it is against the rules, it's never possible to prove anything. So, people could just be playing with friends, and, two heads think much better than just one. And that was like one of our biggest issues, and that's why we never really had like that. Our online tournaments were never like high stakes because we always know that the winner could be just being helped, and it's unfair for those who do not get help, and it's a whole problem. And for that reason, things were kind of slow. I mean, we kind of just hoped that people wouldn't do that, but there was always like a lot of controversy. And ultimately, we just couldn't have official tournaments in that time. We did have some, but the whole community never really took them as seriously because we always knew that people could be getting help, and it's online. It's also a very different atmosphere being at the comfort of your home playing and being at a venue. The skills that you need, like you can't really read your opponent either. It's like playing poker online and playing poker in real life. You can't read your opponents. So it's just a lot of the game is not the same. And for that reason, we felt like we kind of the game kept developing because of streamers, and streaming became huge. Streamers grew a lot. Wolfquick, for example. I used to stream. I stopped for a while, but I managed to get my partnership on Twitch because of that. I
figured the world champion would do pretty well.
That's where the money is, baby.
yeah. It was great for that, but at the same time, we couldn't really develop the actual competition. So I felt like, and it was a really unfortunate timing too, because Sword and Shield had just come out, and there was a big boon in the amount of people that we had attending events, because everyone was so excited. So, because the 3DS was very, very old already when we were playing with it still. And when we changed to the Switch, that a lot of people already had, and that was kind of a lot more of a fad back then. A lot of people started playing the game that had never played before. We had a big insurgence of people that just had never played competitively before, but had been playing for a long time. They started playing in Sword and Shield, and tournaments, like for example, for the first time ever, the Oceania Internationals actually managed to get enough people to play 3 days or 2 days of Swiss, so 2 days of like group stages, which we'd never had before. And that was like the fourth Oceania Internationals already. So that showed like how much it was going to grow, and we didn't even get to have the two biggest tournaments in the North American Internationals and the European Internationals. So those would have been insane, but COVID hit right before European Internationals, and it really killed the mood that we had, like this whole momentum that was going on for us, and I think that hurt us a lot too. So yeah, it was very unfortunate, and Sword and Shield ended up only having one world championships when he could have had three, and for that reason, it was tough. But at the same time, I think we also grew on Twitch, so it made like easier for us to stream and get an audience, because people didn't have anywhere else to watch the game develop. So it kind of goes both ways. It grew on some aspects, but it kind of de-evolved in other aspects.
Yeah, COVID hit and it was super effective. That's going in the clip. I'm clipping that for YouTube.
That's terrible, is what it is.
2015, that's actually a very famous story in the community at the time, was that I lost to a sandwich. At least that's the theory. We packed some sandwiches for our lunch and went to the event, and the sandwiches were in the fridge and they had a bunch of condensation, and going to round one, I looked at my opponent's team on team preview. I locked my moves, my Pokemon, and my top screen went fully black, just blacked out. I was like, okay, it must be a communication error. I looked around and a lot of people were calling for judges. I thought, yeah, maybe this is probably normal, like something weird with like magnetism or something's going on, and it's ruining the DS. I just call over a judge and they check on my DS. They say, no, nothing is going on. It's just your DS is probably broken. Turn it off, turn it back on, see what's going on. And it was still blacked out on the top. So I could see the bottom screen. I could hear the moves if I had headphones on, but I couldn't see the top screen. And I still played the game. They said I could probably just forfeit. I still played the game without a top screen, just guessing how much, like from the sound of the moves, I was guessing what moves they were. And I knew the damage calc sort of. So I was guessing like how much HP I had. And I remember that I actually had a pretty good grasp of what was going on. But I remember that I got pretty unlucky still. I'm not going to get into the details, but I remember that I wasn't very lucky either, and that I still played pretty well despite the circumstances. Probably played better than I would have now, honestly. Like I was young Eduardo was going crazy there, and I remember that being really frustrated. But when I got out of the game, I asked someone to check on my DS that was an expert in checking on the hardware of machines, and I asked them to check it out, and they said, sure, let me just see the exact problem that's going on. So I turned on my DS and now it's working.
Oh no! So was it the?
So I think it's the moisture, that eventually evaporated, and it just wasn't there anymore. So now it worked. That's my theory. So I think I lost to a sandwich.
Yeah, you did.
As a world champion, do you now earn enough money to not have to make your own sandwiches? Can you now buy stuff from the food court?
Who do you think is the best VGC player in the world other than yourself?
That's a really good question. I respect a lot my fellow top 4 player, James Beck. He's fantastic.
One of my favorites. So yeah. In fact, I've using the clout I get from talking to you today, I'm going to slide into his DMs and try and talk to him as well, because he's one of my favorite VGC players too. So yeah,
I absolutely love him both as a player and the person. He's someone who supported me a lot. I've followed his development a lot, and we've been friends for so long that it's just I've seen him play in all kinds of scenarios. I've seen what he's able to do. and he's absolutely one of the best players in the world. Obviously, Guillermo, who I faced in the finals, is really good too. But I don't know. It's just James has such an impressive record. Like top 4 at Worlds back to back, and he's an international champion. We have a especially before this Worlds, we had a very similar track record. We both had gotten top 4 at Worlds. We both had been champions of an international championship. We had both gotten second, I believe, at an international championship. We had both gotten regional wins. Like, we had very similar accomplishments. So I've always related a lot to him because we were always side by side. And fun fact, the time which won our international championships, we faced in Swiss, and whoever won in Swiss ended up winning the world tournament. So when he won his international, he beat me in Swiss. And when I won my international, I beat him in Swiss.
Wow, that's cool. That's a cool bit of Pokemon trivia. Here's another thing, here's another idea I had, right? And I want to get the world champion to sign off on it, right? This is not about VGC, this is about Pokemon games in general. Now, every time I've tried to explain this to someone, they haven't been on board. But I'm hoping, Eduardo Cunha, that you will be on board and you'll help me to get this across the finish line, right? So I think a Pokemon, when you go across, if you click on one of your Pokemon in game, you can see like the trip medals, you can see the stats, and you go across the sort of menu screen, right? There should be a section of that called history, which has a detailed description of the gyms that it helped to beat, the gym, the Pokemon leagues it's beaten. So even if you trade that Pokemon, and say a Pokemon can be traded 7 or 8 times in a 10-year sort of period, but you've got a real track record of who all its previous trainers were, the lands it's been to, all that sort of thing. Because I think it gives
full Pokemon bio.
Yeah, because it gives that individual Pokemon bio of where it's been, its journey, that sort of thing. And don't you think that would be a cool little addition so that your Charizard is not just another Charizard, it's this one that's, it's 11 years old, it's been here.
Until people start trying to buy Eduardo's because it was Eduardo's. So good for Eduardo because it makes him money.
Yeah, that's a good point. But do you see what I mean? Do you think that would be a cool addition to the game?
For sure.
It'll be personalized Pokemon stuff, won't it?
Yeah, it makes them a lot more unique for sure. I love that idea. It's just I wonder if the Instinct would be willing to spend so much time into a feature that has not been in their plans ever. So it's sad that I don't know. It'll be a real cool addition for sure. I think
that's a world champ endorsement. Now to get the ball rolling. Here we go. Come on, Nintendo.
Can't get Nintendo to do anything. They've never been quick on the uptake of doing anything.
Kevin, he's the goddamn world champion. All right. When he talks, Nintendo listens, baby. All right. So that's it. Kevin, thank you for eventually joining us, and thank you for joining us, Kevin. We do appreciate it.
It was like a minute.
And Eduardo, it's been a real pleasure. I watched your entire run in Worlds. You're someone who I really admire. I love VGC. I love, one day I'll try and get better at it. And but you're someone who I've really enjoyed watching compete. So, and I thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Really appreciate it.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much. Thank you.